Oh man, I lost my voice last week. I don't know where it went. I don't know how it came back. It's all of a sudden back, so that's exciting. So I wasn't able to talk about Sarah Swafford coming to visit us. I was very pleased to be able to tell her that we actually referred to her as Sarah Slay My Life Swafford. It was coined by two of our senior girls, and I think that she was happy to know about that too. I think she wrote it down. I wouldn't be surprised to hear that it makes it into our talk sooner or later. But it was very good. She came and spoke to the 5-day students right after the lunch hour. She came and spoke to high school students and parents from 6 to 7 that on Wednesday night, like so last Wednesday. And then she spoke to our religious formations kids on about 7:45 or so. And I'll tell you what, I think my best thing to say about how she did, it's not always easy. Having a lady, sometimes guys can be cool guys, and they don't really want to buy into what a lady says sometimes. But I think that she did a very good job of engaging the male students in both high school and middle school. You're definitely going to have your group of dudes that are too cool and they're sitting up in the top corner, and that there was definitely that group of guys in each group. But as a guy, I was impressed with how she engaged those young men and called them to more as well. I mean, the ladies just sit there and they just gobble up everything she says. They think she's awesome. She dresses fantastically. I mean, she's just they're striving to be like her. She's so knowledgeable and so well spoken, and they just eat everything up. But sometimes guys can be a little bit leery. But I think that she did a fantastic job. Bringing up different examples of her life. How she's married to this linebacker. She has all these young boys in her house. She lives in a college town where she's meeting football players and tough guys in the dorms and having very, very good conversations about her interest area. So to say that at the beginning, I was very impressed with how she was able to draw in our young men. Overall, the thing she talked about was just the culture that we live in and how people. I think one of the biggest things, my biggest takeaway is just this cycle of use that people get involved in where they're using each other. And I've spoken on here many times about that, about how we're called to use things and love people. I stole that from Matt Fradd, I believe. Use things and love people. So that really speaks to what she's talking about. We're not out to use people for our pleasure. And guys and girls both do it to each other, is what she would bring up. There's ways that women use men and ways that men use women. And I think for our middle schoolers, it was, and she said it from the beginning, it was a little bit over their head. Just maybe some of them were experiencing some of these things as they're maybe a little bit more progressed than some of their classmates. But it was probably for the majority a little bit over their head. For the high schoolers, it hit them right in the forehead. And for us as adults, she's a 36-year-old lady. She said, I'm a 35-year-old guy. When I'm sitting here listening to what she's saying, I'm like, man, I enjoyed what she had to say too, because a lot of the things that she brought up were my experience in the past. So I think it was great to have our middle schoolers and high schoolers who are either in the midst of what she's talking about or about to get into it, sitting there listening to stories that she had. And really when it came down to it, like I said, it's about this cycle of use where each side is using the other. Now, she didn't only talk about, things that we have that are wrong in our society, but she brought up a lot of things that are good in our society. And she had a whole list of characteristics and traits and virtues that are good that the other sex, the opposite sex, is looking for. So here's what ladies are looking for in men. Here's what men are looking for in ladies. And it was very good, I think, eye-opening for both groups of people. The ladies are sitting there and they're hearing what men are looking for. And I think she did a great job too of not stressing women out. Sometimes when you see the laundry list of things you have to be as a woman, you get stressed out inside. But she did a great job of presenting the list of things that men would say women should be striving for, and telling ladies like, hey, you're not perfect, but you can work towards these things. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, for the guys, I think it was an encouragement to see what ladies are looking for in guys. Sometimes as a guy, you think that you have to be this tough guy, this bad boy, this dude that's breaking all the rules, and you're so edgy so you can attract to the attention of these girls, especially when it comes to, like, if you think about animals in the wild, sometimes it seems like many times the male animal is putting on a show for the ladies. He has feathers or different colors and things like that. And I think a lot of times as young men, we want to put on that show for the lady to get attention. And many times, I know that I've done it, and a lot of other guys I know, we've done it in inappropriate ways. We've been the class clown, we've been the guy that's getting in trouble. But she made a list and of these ladies that are talking about these things that they're looking for in men. And truly, honestly, I see it happening in youth ministry. We'll have some of our male students who really dive into becoming holy, to being virtuous young men, to being honest, to being caring, to being courageous, to stand up for what's right. And I'm telling you this right now, and I've told some of these boys to their face, I say, dude, you guys owe us so much, because these ladies, these young ladies that we have in youth ministry, when they see these guys acting in holy ways, they're like, wow, that's amazing. That's inspiring. I love to see that. I want to hang out with these guys because they aren't dorks, they aren't idiots, they aren't morons. Well, actually, I take it back. Sometimes they can be like that. But they're striving to be virtuous men. They're striving to be holy men. And I think it works both ways. When you see that, there's something special about that person. And I see it when it comes to some of our young ladies too. There's some of our young ladies that you just know they're just striving for special things. They're not getting caught up as much in some of the things they shouldn't be. And everybody just knows, like, when it comes to that girl, when it comes to that guy, they're setting the bar so high that I have to rise to the challenge as well if I'm ever going to be in some kind of relationship with them. So it was fantastic to have her come out and speak to these things. And she's a cool lady too. You know, she dresses cool. So obviously everyone's like, oh, this lady she's pretty cool. I mean, at least for a 30-something-year-old, you know, I'm sure that she could have dressed a little bit hipper. But, you know, as a 30-something, like, oh, this is a nice dressed lady. You know, she looked the part and she spoke the part. She talked the talk and she walked the walk. So it was fantastic. She was very kind to our staff, and I think that everyone got along so well. So it was a great experience, and I'm so happy that everyone came out. I was glad to see a lot of parents there too at the 6 to 7 o'clock session to hear what she has to say. Not only because it probably resonated with them too, because they've been through some of those things, are currently going through those things, but also as parents, you know, to open up that dialogue with their students. So if your student went to it, we know whether it was 5-day, whether it was high school, whether it was religious formation, whichever one it was, open up these lines of communication with your kids and talk about the things that she talked about, because they are such juicy, meaty topics. And just definitely blessed to have this opportunity. And I definitely appreciate Mrs. Landenberger, Mrs. Menning, Mrs. McMahon getting this together so we can participate in it, and having somebody of that caliber come right into our own backyard. Because we'd seen her many times at Steubenville. She makes the rounds and speaks there. People that go to Benedictine see her over in Atchison, Kansas. That's where she's from. And just being able to have her in our own backyard was such a blessing. So I appreciate that. I appreciate, you know, you guys all supporting St. Patrick's so we can bring in these great speakers who can speak to our students and deliver such good truths to them. Oh, one last thing. I'll get this done before 8 minutes. This kid said, it was so cute. I'm not going to say who it was. Mom asked him, but, you know, hey, how did you think these kids, these talks went? And this kid said, oh my gosh, he said, after listening to Jason Everett and Sarah Swafford, I've made a decision to live a chaste life. It was so great. It was so great. So that was truly the highlight for me, that this kid, you know, he desires to live a chaste life. And that's what we're all called to, whether you're married, single, whatever, religious, whatever. We're all called to live a chaste life. So have these conversations, and hopefully you get a gem like that as well. God bless you.